The galaxy had always been curious about Earth. For centuries, distant stars and civilizations watched as humanity evolved from simple creatures into a species capable of building towering cities, exploring space, and creating wonders that even some advanced races found impressive. But on this particular day, something changed. Something happened that would make the entire galaxy pause and remember Earth forever. It wasn't an explosion, a war, or even the discovery of alien life. It was something far more profound. The day humanity reached its limit. Part 1. The breaking point. In the sprawling city of New Terra, life moved at a frenetic pace. Towering skyscrapers pierced the clouds, their glass facades reflecting the golden rays of the morning sun. Streets buzzed with activity. Self-driving cars zipped along magnetic highways, drones delivered packages to every corner, and people hurried past each other, their eyes glued to holographic screens hovering in front of their faces. Humanity had achieved so much. Technology ruled everything, making lives easier and faster. Yet beneath the surface of all this progress lay cracks that were slowly widening into chasms. Dr. Elias Cade sat in his small but cluttered office on the 87th floor of one of New Terra's tallest buildings. He was a man in his late 50s with graying hair and deep lines etched into his face from years of stress. Despite his tired appearance, his mind remained sharp. As an astrophysicist and environmental scientist, he had spent decades studying Earth's ecosystems and warning humanity about its unsustainable path. His warnings, however, had largely gone unheeded. Politicians dismissed him as overly dramatic, corporations labeled him a threat to economic growth, and ordinary citizens ignored him because they believed someone else would fix the problems. But today felt different. Today, Elias stared at his computer screen with a mix of dread and disbelief. The data pouring in from satellites and monitoring stations painted a horrifying picture. Earth's resources were running out faster than anyone had predicted. Freshwater reserves were dangerously low, soil fertility was collapsing due to overuse, and the atmosphere carried levels of carbon dioxide that made climate models spiral out of control. Worst of all, global systems, power grids, food supply chains, communication networks were so interconnected that if one failed, the entire structure could collapse like a house of cards. Elias leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. He knew what this meant. Humanity was reaching its breaking point. Not in some distant future, but now. Right now. And no one seemed ready for it. Across town, Mia Chen, a young journalist working for Global Pulse, was chasing her next big story. She had built a reputation for uncovering truths others ignored, but lately she'd struggled to find anything truly groundbreaking. That changed when she stumbled upon a leaked document from a top-secret government meeting. The document contained projections eerily similar to what Elias had been saying for years. According to the report, major cities could face blackouts within weeks, food shortages within months, and societal breakdown within a year if nothing changed. Mia's heart raced as she read through the details. This wasn't just another scandal or corporate cover-up. It was a ticking time bomb. Without hesitation, she uploaded the document to the internet, knowing it would spark outrage. Within minutes, social media platforms lit up with panic. People shared the report, debated its authenticity, and argued about what to do next. Some called for immediate action, while others accused Mia of fear-mongering. By evening, grocery stores across New Terra were empty, as people hoarded supplies in preparation for the worst. As chaos unfolded below, Elias tried to reach out to world leaders. He sent emails, made phone calls, and even recorded a video message pleading for calm and collaboration. "We have reached our limit," he said in the video, his voice steady despite the gravity of his words. "If we act together, we can still save ourselves. If we don't, the consequences will be catastrophic." His message went viral almost instantly. Millions watched it, shared it, and discussed it. For the first time, people listened, not because they trusted Elias, but because they saw the evidence around them. Power outages hit several neighborhoods in New Terra that night, leaving thousands in darkness. Water shortages began affecting smaller towns, the cracks Elias had warned about. were starting to show, yet not everyone reacted with fear. In a quiet suburb outside the city, a teenager named Arjun Patel tinkered with a solar-powered water purifier he had built in his garage. Arjun had grown up hearing stories of how his grandparents lived before technology took over everything. They spoke of simpler times when communities worked together, sharing resources and helping neighbors. Inspired by those tales, Arjun wanted to create solutions that didn't rely on fragile global systems. When he heard about the impending crisis, he didn't panic, he got to work. Meanwhile, in the heart of New Terra, protests erupted. Crowds gathered in the central plaza, chanting slogans and demanding answers. Some held signs reading, "Save our planet" and "Act now before it's too late." Others clashed with police, venting their frustrations violently. Fires broke out in parts of the city, and emergency services struggled to keep up with the chaos. Amidst the turmoil, a wealthy businessman named Victor Langley saw an opportunity. Owner of one of the largest tech companies in the world, Langley announced plans to launch a new initiative called Project Resilience. Promising to develop cutting-edge technologies to solve the crisis, he secured billions in funding from panicked governments. Critics accused him of profiteering off disaster, but many desperate citizens hailed him as a savior. By the end of the week, the world stood on the edge of collapse. Governments teetered, economies faltered, and trust between nations eroded. Yet amidst the despair, glimmers of hope emerged. Communities came together to share food and shelter. Scientists collaborated openly, sharing research without patents or restrictions. Activists organized rallies calling for systemic change rather than temporary fixes. Even skeptics began to realize that survival depended on unity, not division. For Elias, watching these events unfold filled him with both relief and anxiety. Relief because humanity finally seemed to understand the stakes. Anxiety because he knew the road ahead would be long and painful. Reaching the limit wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. How humanity chose to respond would determine whether it thrived or perished, and somewhere beyond Earth's orbit, silent observers waited. They had seen civilizations rise and fall countless times before. What they witnessed now intrigued them. Would humanity overcome its flaws? Or would it succumb to them entirely? Only time would tell. As the sun set over New Terra, casting a warm orange glow across the chaotic cityscape, Elias gazed out his window. The skyline shimmered with artificial lights, a testament to human ingenuity. Yet beyond the glittering towers lay shadows, reminders of the challenges ahead. With a heavy sigh, he whispered to himself, "We've reached our limit, but maybe, just maybe, we can rise above it." Little did he know, the real test was yet to come. As the chaos on Earth continued to escalate, humanity found itself grappling with not only its internal struggles, but also an unexpected external force that would alter the course of history. The cracks in society widened further as fear, uncertainty, and desperation spread like wildfire. But just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, something extraordinary happened, something that would leave the entire planet holding its breath. It started as a faint glimmer in the night sky, barely noticeable amidst the bright lights of New Terra's bustling skyline. Astronomers monitoring Jupiter's orbit first spotted it, a massive object emerging from behind the sun's glare. At first, they thought it was an asteroid, or perhaps a rogue comet heading toward Earth. But as telescopes zoomed in and data poured in, their initial assumptions were shattered. This wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was a ship, a colossal alien vessel unlike anything humanity had ever imagined. The news broke early one morning, spreading faster than anyone could have anticipated. Social media erupted with images and videos of the mysterious object hovering near Jupiter. Speculation ran wild. Was this a coincidence? Or had the aliens been watching Earth all along, waiting for the perfect moment to intervene? Some conspiracy theorists claimed the aliens were here to punish humanity for its reckless behavior. Others believed they had come to save Earth from itself. Whatever the truth was, one thing became clear. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. Dr. Elias Cade watched the live footage of the alien ship with a mix of awe and dread. He had spent his life studying the cosmos, dreaming of the day humanity might make contact with extraterrestrial life. But now that the moment had arrived, he couldn't shake the feeling that it was tied to Earth's current crisis. The timing was too precise, too deliberate. Something about this event felt intentional. Governments around the world scrambled to respond. Emergency meetings were held, military forces were put on high alert, and scientists worked around the clock to analyze the ship's composition and trajectory. For days, the alien vessel remained silent, unmoving, as if observing humanity from afar. Its sheer size dwarfed even the largest human-made structures, casting a shadow over Earth's fragile existence. People looked up at the stars with a mixture of wonder and terror, unsure whether salvation or destruction awaited them. Amidst the panic, Mia Chen saw an opportunity. As a journalist, she knew this story could define her career, and possibly humanity's future. She reached out to experts, scientists and eyewitnesses, piecing together clues about the ship's origins and purpose. Her investigations led her to Dr. Cade, who reluctantly agreed to an interview. Sitting in his cluttered office, surrounded by stacks of papers and glowing computer screens, Elias spoke candidly about his fears. "This isn't just some random encounter," he told Mia. "They're here because of us, because of what we've done to our planet. They've seen how close we are to collapse, and they're forcing us to confront it." Mia nodded, scribbling notes furiously. "Do you think they're hostile?" she asked. Elias hesitated before answering. "I don't know, but I do know this. We can't afford to assume the worst or the best. We need to communicate with them, find out why they're here, and figure out what they want from us." With renewed determination, governments and scientific organizations joined forces to establish a global task force dedicated to making contact with the aliens. Dr. Cade was appointed as its leader, tasked with assembling a team of experts, including linguists, engineers, and diplomats, to decode any potential messages and prepare a response. Among those chosen was Arjun Patel, the young inventor whose solar-powered water purifier had gained widespread attention. Despite his age, Arjun's innovative thinking made him a valuable asset to the team. The first attempt at communication was clumsy and chaotic. Using radio waves, lasers, and even visual signals, humanity tried everything it could think of to reach out to the alien ship. Messages ranged from mathematical equations meant to demonstrate intelligence to heartfelt pleas for peace. Yet despite their efforts, there was no reply. The ship loomed silently in the distance, indifferent to humanity's cries. Days turned into weeks, and frustration mounted. Protests erupted outside government buildings, with angry citizens demanding answers. Conspiracy theories spiraled out of control, fueling paranoia and division. Some called for preemptive strikes against the ship, fearing an imminent invasion. Others argued for patience, believing the aliens wouldn't harm Earth unless provoked. Meanwhile, Victor Langley seized the opportunity to promote his Project Resilience, framing it as humanity's last line of defense against alien threats. Tensions escalated, so did Earth's internal struggles. Food shortages worsened, power outages became more frequent, and riots broke out in major cities. Governments struggled to maintain order, while ordinary people fought for survival. In the midst of this turmoil, Arjun found himself questioning whether humanity deserved a second chance. He had always believed in the goodness of people, but seeing the greed, selfishness, and violence unfold around him made him doubt. One evening, as the team gathered in a secure facility to brainstorm new strategies, an unexpected breakthrough occurred. A linguist named Dr. Elena Rojas proposed using music as a form of communication. "Music is universal," she explained. "It transcends language barriers and conveys emotion. Maybe the aliens will understand it where words fail." Her idea was met with skepticism, but with nothing left to lose, the team decided to try. They composed a simple melody, a blend of classical symphonies, traditional folk songs, and modern, electronic beats. meant to represent humanity's diversity and creativity. The message was transmitted via radio waves, accompanied by a visual representation of Earth's beauty: lush forests, cascading waterfalls, and vibrant cities. For hours, the team waited anxiously, listening for a response. Just as hope began to fade, something incredible happened. The alien ship emitted a signal, a series of rhythmic pulses that mimicked the melody sent by humanity. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but undeniable. The room erupted in cheers as everyone realized what it meant. The aliens had acknowledged them, but the celebration was short-lived. Moments later, the ship sent another transmission, this time not a melody but a flood of images. Projected onto screens around the world, the visuals showed scenes of war, pollution, deforestation, and suffering, all captured from Earth's own history. It was as if the aliens were holding up a mirror, forcing humanity to confront its darkest truths. The reaction was immediate and visceral. Some dismissed the images as propaganda, accusing the aliens of trying to manipulate humanity. Others interpreted them as divine judgment, urging repentance and change. And then there were those who saw them for what they truly were, an invitation to reflect. Dr. Cade stood silently as the images played, his heart heavy with realization. The aliens weren't here to conquer or destroy. They were here to teach. "They're showing us who we are," he murmured. "Not to shame us, but to inspire us to be better." Inspired by this revelation, Elias rallied the team to craft a new message, one that conveyed humanity's capacity for growth and redemption. Together, they created a video montage showcasing acts of kindness, innovation, and resilience. From volunteers rebuilding communities after disasters to scientists working tirelessly to heal the planet, the footage highlighted humanity's potential for good. Alongside the visuals, they included a written declaration: "We acknowledge our mistakes and we vow to do better." When the message was sent, the alien ship responded once again, not with hostility, but with silence. It didn't move closer to Earth, nor did it retreat. Instead, it lingered quietly, as if giving humanity time to prove itself. In the days that followed, the world began to change. Communities came together to address local issues. Governments prioritized sustainability over profit, and individuals committed to living more responsibly. It wasn't easy, and progress was slow, but for the first time in years there was hope. Yet the presence of the alien ship served as a constant reminder of the stakes. Every decision made on Earth felt heavier knowing that the galaxy awaited humanity's next move. Would they rise above their flaws or succumb to them entirely? Only time would tell. As Dr. Cade gazed at the stars one night, he couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the aliens' intervention, for humanity's resilience, and for the chance to start anew. "We've reached our limit," he whispered to himself. "But maybe, just maybe, we can rise above it." And somewhere beyond Earth's orbit, the silent observers watched and waited, intrigued by the unfolding drama of a species teetering on the edge of transformation. As humanity began to absorb the weight of the alien message, a profound shift rippled across the planet. The images sent by the extraterrestrial visitors had forced people to confront their flaws in ways no speech or warning ever could. It wasn't just guilt that gripped them, it was clarity. For the first time, humanity saw itself through an unfiltered lens, stripped of excuses and distractions. The challenge now was whether they could translate this newfound awareness into action. The days following the alien transmission were unlike anything Earth had experienced before. News outlets replayed the haunting visuals over and over, dissecting every frame for hidden meanings. Social media buzzed with debates about what the aliens wanted from humanity. Were they judges, observers, or teachers? No one knew for sure, but one thing was certain: their presence had ignited a spark of change. Dr. Elias Cade found himself at the center of it all. As the leader of the global task force responsible for communicating with the aliens, he became both a symbol of hope and a target of criticism. Some hailed him as a visionary guiding humanity toward redemption, while others accused him of prioritizing alien approval over human survival. Despite the pressure, Elias remained steadfast. He believed the aliens' message wasn't meant to condemn but to inspire, a call to action rather than a verdict. Mia Chen continued her relentless pursuit of truth, documenting the unfolding events with unwavering determination. Her articles painted vivid pictures of how different parts of the world were responding to the crisis. In some regions, communities banded together to tackle local problems head-on. Farmers shared techniques to grow crops without depleting soil nutrients. Engineers collaborated to design energy-efficient systems powered entirely by renewable sources. Even children joined the effort, planting trees and organizing cleanup drives in their neighborhoods. But not everyone embraced the message with open arms. Victor Langley, the billionaire tech mogul, saw the alien intervention as an opportunity to solidify his influence. Through Project Resilience, he promised cutting-edge technologies that would supposedly solve Earth's problems overnight. His advertisements flooded screens worldwide, showcasing futuristic gadgets and sleek prototypes. Critics argued that Langley's solutions only addressed symptoms, not root causes, but many desperate citizens clung to his promises like lifelines. Amidst these contrasting approaches, Arjun Patel emerged as an unlikely hero. The young inventor, whose solar-powered water purifier had gained widespread attention, traveled to remote areas to teach people how to build sustainable tools using locally available materials. His workshops attracted crowds eager to learn, from farmers struggling with droughts to families facing water shortages. Arjun didn't claim to have all the answers. Instead, he encouraged creativity and collaboration, reminding everyone that innovation often came from necessity. Meanwhile, governments wrestled with implementing systemic changes on a global scale. International summits convened almost daily, bringing leaders from every nation to the table. These meetings were far from smooth. Arguments erupted over resource allocation, economic disparities, and historical grievances. Yet amidst the chaos, moments of unity began to shine through. Small victories added up. Agreements to phase out fossil fuels, commitments to protect endangered ecosystems, and pledges to prioritize education and healthcare for marginalized communities. One such breakthrough occurred during a landmark summit held aboard the International Space Station. Never before had so many nations come together in such a literal sense, floating above the very planet they sought to save. Representatives from every corner of Earth gathered in zero gravity, their usual posturing replaced by genuine concern. Dr. K delivered a powerful speech urging humanity to seize this moment as a chance to redefine itself. "We are standing at a crossroads," he said, his voice steady despite the enormity of the occasion. "The choice is ours, to continue down the path of destruction or to forge a new future built on cooperation, empathy, and sustainability. The aliens may have shown us our flaws, but they've also given us a gift, the chance to start anew." His words resonated deeply. By the end of the summit, leaders signed a historic accord known as the Unity Pact. It outlined sweeping reforms, aimed at dismantling outdated systems and rebuilding society from the ground up. Industries reliant on exploitation were phased out, replaced by models focused on circular economies and regenerative practices. Education curriculums were redesigned to emphasize critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and environmental stewardship. Most importantly, the pact established a global fund to support vulnerable populations disproportionately affected by climate change and inequality. Yet, implementing these changes proved harder than anyone anticipated. Resistance came from unexpected places. Powerful corporations fought back against regulations threatening their profits. Politicians hesitated to make bold decisions, fearing backlash from constituents unwilling to sacrifice comfort for long-term gain. Ordinary citizens, too, struggled to adapt. Decades of consumerism and convenience had conditioned them to prioritize short-term gratification over sustainable living. In New Terra, tensions reached a boiling point when protests erupted outside Victor Langley's headquarters. Activists accused him of profiteering off the crisis, pointing to exorbitant prices for his supposedly revolutionary technologies. Langley defended himself, claiming his work was essential for humanity's survival. But when investigative reports revealed that several of his projects relied on unethical labor practices and environmentally harmful methods. Public opinion turned sharply against him. Overnight, the once revered entrepreneur became a pariah. Despite these setbacks, pockets of progress persisted. In rural villages, cooperative farming initiatives flourished, providing food security while healing degraded land. Urban centers transformed into green havens, with rooftops converted into gardens and streets lined with solar panels. Artists and creators used their platforms to spread messages of hope and resilience, inspiring millions to take action in their own lives. Even skeptics began to see glimpses of possibility. Dr. Elena Rojas, the linguist who had proposed using music to communicate with the aliens, led a movement called Harmony Beyond Borders. Its mission was simple yet profound: to bridge divides through art and culture. Musicians composed symphonies blending traditional instruments from around the world. Writers penned stories celebrating diversity and interconnectedness. Painters created murals depicting visions of a brighter future. These efforts reminded humanity that its strength lay not in domination, but in collaboration. As weeks turned into months, the alien ship remained stationary near Jupiter, observing silently. No additional transmissions came, but its presence served as a constant reminder of the stakes. Every decision made on Earth felt heavier, knowing that the galaxy awaited humanity's next move. Would they rise above their flaws, or succumb to them entirely? For Dr. Cade, the answer lay in the small, everyday acts of courage and compassion he witnessed. A teacher dedicating extra hours to help struggling students. A group of teenagers cleaning up a polluted riverbank. A family choosing to live simply, so others might thrive. These moments, though seemingly insignificant, carried immense power. They were proof that humanity still possessed the capacity for greatness, if only it dared to embrace it. One evening, as Elias stood on the balcony of his apartment overlooking New Terra, he reflected on how far they'd come. The city below glimmered with lights, a testament to human ingenuity. Yet beyond the glittering skyline lay shadows, reminders of the challenges ahead. With a deep breath, he whispered to himself, "We've reached our limit, but we're learning to rise above it." And somewhere beyond Earth's orbit, the silent observers watched and waited, intrigued by the unfolding drama of a species teetering on the edge of transformation. As humanity continued its uphill battle to rebuild itself, the presence of the alien ship near Jupiter loomed like a silent judge. The changes sweeping across Earth were neither quick nor easy, but they marked a turning point, a fragile yet determined effort to forge a better future. Every step forward came with resistance, every victory was hard-fought, and every failure served as a painful lesson. This was the reckoning, the moment when humanity had to decide whether it would truly rise above its flaws or remain trapped in its destructive patterns. Months passed since the signing of the Unity Pact, and while progress was visible, cracks still ran deep beneath the surface. Governments struggled to implement reforms, corporations fought tooth and nail to protect their interests, and ordinary citizens wrestled with the sacrifices required for meaningful change. The road ahead was anything but smooth, but amidst the chaos, signs of hope began to emerge. Dr. Elias Cade, now a global figurehead for the movement toward sustainability, found himself traveling constantly, from bustling megacities to remote villages. He spoke at conferences, addressed crowds, and met with leaders to ensure that promises made during the summit translated into action. His message remained consistent. Change is not something we wait for, it's something we create. In New Terra, the transformation was palpable. Rooftops once adorned with satellite dishes were now covered in lush gardens. Streets once clogged with cars had been converted into pedestrian-friendly zones lined with trees and solar panels. Public transportation ran entirely on renewable energy, and schools taught children how to grow food, recycle waste, and care for the environment. Yet even in this beacon of progress, challenges persisted. Economic inequality widened as industries collapsed, leaving millions unemployed. Protests erupted regularly, with workers demanding fair wages and opportunities in the new economy. Maya Chen documented these struggles with unflinching honesty. Her articles highlighted both the successes and failures of the transition, refusing to sugarcoat the harsh realities. One story she wrote focused on a former factory worker named Marcus Holloway, who had lost his job when the plant shut down, due to environmental regulations. At first, Marcus joined protests calling for the reversal of policies he believed had ruined his life. But over time, he enrolled in a government-sponsored training program to learn sustainable farming techniques. By the end of the year, he was running a thriving urban garden that provided fresh produce to his community. Marcus's journey became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that adaptation, though difficult, was possible. Meanwhile, Arjun Patel gained recognition as a champion of grassroots innovation. His workshops spread to cities worldwide, empowering people to build tools and systems tailored to their specific needs. In one particularly inspiring project, Arjun collaborated with a group of women in a drought-stricken region to design a low-cost desalination device powered by sunlight. The invention not only provided clean drinking water but also created jobs, as locals began manufacturing and selling the devices to neighboring communities. Stories like these fueled optimism, proving that small-scale solutions could have a profound impact. Yet not everyone embraced the shift. Victor Langley, whose reputation had plummeted after scandals exposed unethical practices within his company, attempted to stage a comeback. He launched a campaign called Resilience 2.0, promising advanced technologies capable of reversing climate damage in record time. Skeptics dismissed it as another publicity stunt, but Langley's charisma and vast resources allowed him to sway public opinion. Crowds gathered to hear him speak, drawn by the allure of quick fixes rather than long-term solutions. Langley's resurgence alarmed Dr. Cade, who feared that humanity might revert to its old ways if seduced by false promises. Determined to counteract Langley's influence, Elias organized a series of town hall meetings where scientists, activists, and ordinary citizens shared their experiences. These gatherings emphasized the importance of patience, perseverance, and collective effort. There are no shortcuts, Elias told audiences. Real change takes time, and it requires all of us to work together. The clash between Langley's vision of instant results and Elias's call for gradual progress reached a boiling point during a televised debate. Moderators posed tough questions about the feasibility of each approach, forcing both men to defend their positions. Langley argued that humanity couldn't afford to wait, that drastic measures were necessary to prevent further catastrophe. Elias countered by highlighting the dangers of rushing into untested solutions, warning that such actions often caused more harm than good. When asked what role the alien ship played in shaping their perspectives, Langley scoffed, dismissing the visitors as irrelevant observers. Elias, however, took a different stance. "They're here because they saw our potential," he said. "Not just our capacity for destruction, but our ability to heal and grow. Their silence speaks volumes. They're giving us a chance to prove ourselves." The debate ended without a clear winner, but it sparked widespread reflection. For many, Elias's words resonated deeply, reinforcing the belief that humanity's strength lay in unity and cooperation rather than individual ambition. Amidst these ideological battles, the alien ship remained an enigmatic presence. Its silence was deafening, yet its mere existence served as a constant reminder of the stakes. Some interpreted it as a test, others as a warning, and a few as a promise of support should humanity succeed. Regardless of interpretation, its presence kept people grounded, preventing them from slipping back into complacency. One evening, as tensions simmered and uncertainty lingered, an unexpected event occurred. A second transmission arrived. Not from the alien ship, but from Earth itself. It originated from a remote research station in Antarctica, where scientists had been studying atmospheric anomalies. The signal consisted of a single phrase repeated endlessly: "We are ready." At first, no one understood its meaning. Was it a message from the aliens, or had humans somehow intercepted their communication? Speculation ran rampant until Dr. Elena Rojas proposed a theory. She believed the phrase represented a subconscious response triggered by humanity's collective efforts. It's not about perfection, she explained. It's about intention. We've shown that we're willing to try, to acknowledge our mistakes and strive for something better. Her explanation struck a chord. People around the world rallied behind the idea, interpreting the phrase as a declaration of readiness, not just to the aliens but to themselves. Social media lit up with hashtags like, "We're ready" and "together. We rise," accompanied by images of communities working together to create a brighter future. Even skeptics found themselves inspired, realizing that humanity's greatest strength lay in its ability to adapt and evolve. As the weeks passed, tangible progress became undeniable. Carbon emissions dropped significantly as nations transitioned to renewable energy sources. Deforestation rates slowed, thanks to reforestation projects led by local communities. Education systems transformed, prioritizing critical thinking, empathy, and environmental stewardship. Even economies began to stabilize, as circular models replaced exploitative practices. But perhaps the most remarkable change was the shift in mindset. Conversations shifted from blame and division to collaboration and understanding. People started seeing themselves not as isolated individuals, but as part of a larger whole, a global family sharing a single home. Acts of kindness multiplied, from neighbors helping each other through hardships to strangers coming together to tackle shared challenges. For Dr. Cade, witnessing this transformation filled him with cautious optimism. Standing on a hill overlooking New Terra one night, he gazed at the stars twinkling above. The alien ship was barely visible, a faint speck near Jupiter's orbit. Yet its presence felt closer than ever, a silent guardian watching over humanity's fragile attempts at redemption. "We've reached our limit," Elias whispered to himself, echoing words he'd spoken countless times before. But maybe, just maybe, we're learning to rise above it. And somewhere beyond Earth's orbit, the silent observers waited, intrigued by the unfolding drama of a species teetering on the edge of transformation. Years had passed since the day humanity reached its limit, and the scars of that turbulent era still lingered. Yet those scars no longer symbolized failure. They were badges of resilience, proof that even in the darkest moments, humanity could find a way forward. The alien ship had long since departed, leaving behind an enduring legacy. Its silent presence had forced Earth's inhabitants to confront their flaws, adapt, and rebuild. Now, as the galaxy looked upon Earth with renewed curiosity, it saw not a broken species but one that had emerged stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. The transformation of Earth was nothing short of miraculous. Cities once choked by pollution now thrived as green havens, their skies clear and air breathable. Towering skyscrapers were draped in vertical gardens, while streets hummed with electric vehicles powered by renewable energy. Rivers flowed clean again, their waters teeming with life, thanks to decades of restoration efforts. Forests reclaimed barren lands and wildlife returned to areas where humans had once encroached recklessly. Dr. Elias Cade, now in his late 70s, stood atop a hill overlooking New Terra. The city sparkled beneath him, a testament to what humanity could achieve when it worked together. He smiled faintly, remembering the chaos and despair that had gripped the world during those early days. It had been a painful journey, filled with sacrifices and setbacks, but every step had been worth it. Humanity hadn't just survived, it had evolved. Mia Chen, who had documented the entire saga, published her final article on the anniversary of the alien ship's departure. Titled, "From Ashes to Stars." It chronicled humanity's rise from the brink of collapse to its current state of renewal. Her words resonated deeply. "We didn't fix everything overnight. We stumbled, argued, and made mistakes along the way. But we never gave up. And that's what saved us. Not technology or wealth, but our determination to do better." Her article ended with a poignant question. What will the aliens think if they return? Will they see us as worthy custodians of this planet? Or will there still be work left undone? Arjun Patel, now a renowned inventor and environmental advocate, reflected on how far humanity had come. His solar-powered water purifiers had inspired countless innovations, many of which he couldn't have imagined back in his garage days. Communities around the world relied on sustainable tools designed not for profit, but for survival. Arjun often visited schools to teach children about creativity and collaboration, instilling in them the belief that even the smallest actions could make a difference. Victor Langley, however, faded into obscurity. After the failure of Resilience 2.0, his empire crumbled under scrutiny and public backlash. Though some viewed him as a cautionary tale, others saw him as a product of his time, a man whose ambition blinded him to the greater good. History remembered him not as a villain, but as a reminder of humanity's capacity for both greed and redemption. As Earth flourished, stories of its transformation spread across the galaxy. Starfaring civilizations marveled at how a species once teetering on the edge of self-destruction managed to rewrite its destiny. They debated whether humanity's success was due to external intervention or internal resolve. Some believed the aliens had played a crucial role, nudging humanity toward change. Others argued that the real heroes were the people themselves, the scientists, activists, farmers, teachers, and ordinary citizens who refused to give up. Among these distant observers were the beings aboard the alien ship. Though they had vanished without explanation, their impact endured. Humanity speculated endlessly about their motives. Had they come to judge, to guide, or simply to witness? No one knew for sure, but their silence spoke volumes. By withholding judgment, they had allowed humanity to take ownership of its fate, a gift far greater than any direct intervention. Decades later, humanity took its first steps beyond Earth's orbit, venturing into space not as conquerors, but as explorers seeking understanding. Colonies sprang up on Mars and moons of Jupiter, built with sustainability in mind. Lessons learned from Earth's near collapse guided these endeavors, ensuring that humanity wouldn't repeat its past mistakes. Diplomatic missions reached out to neighboring star systems, offering peace and cooperation rather than domination. One such mission led to contact with another alien civilization, a peaceful race known as the Luminaris. Their ships shimmered like liquid light, and their communication transcended language entirely, relying on shared emotions and intentions. When asked why they chose to engage with humanity, their response was simple yet profound. You showed us your scars and your strength. That moment marked a turning point in interstellar relations. Humanity, once isolated and self-destructive, became a respected member of the galactic community. It shared knowledge, resources, and culture with other species, fostering alliances based on mutual respect and trust. Earth became a beacon of hope, a shining example of what was possible when a species embraced unity over division. Back on Earth, Dr. Elias Cade spent his final years writing memoirs and mentoring young scientists. His office, though cluttered, with papers and artifacts from his career, radiated warmth. On quiet evenings, he would sit by the window, gazing at the stars. Sometimes he wondered if the aliens were watching, proud of what humanity had achieved. Other times he thought of them as teachers who had simply pointed the way, leaving the rest to humanity itself. On the night of his passing, a meteor shower lit up the sky, a rare celestial event visible across the globe. People gathered outside, marveling at the streaks of light painting the heavens. Many whispered prayers or shared memories of loved ones lost. Among them was Mia, who held her daughter's hand tightly as tears streamed down her face. She knew Elias wouldn't want sadness. He'd want celebration, for life, for progress, for hope. In the years that followed, humanity continued to grow. Challenges remained, as they always would, but the spirit of perseverance endured. Children grew up learning about the great turning point, the era when humanity faced its limits and chose to rise above them. Schools taught not only science and history, but also empathy and responsibility, preparing future generations to carry the torch. And somewhere out there, perhaps among the stars, the alien observers nodded in approval. They had witnessed something rare and extraordinary, a species capable of greatness despite its flaws, a species that had stared into the abyss and found the courage to climb out. As humanity ventured further into the cosmos, carrying the lessons of its past, it carried something else too, a promise to honor the sacrifices made, to cherish the planet it called home, and to strive always for harmony, with each other, with nature, and with the universe itself. Elias's voice echoed softly in the hearts of those who remembered him. We reached our limit, but we didn't break. Little did they know their story was far from over. For in the vastness of the galaxy, new adventures awaited, new challenges loomed, and new possibilities stretched as far as the stars themselves.